Why does the term midlife make so many of us squirm? Hi, I'm Jo Clark, and thanks so much for joining me today. This is the Redefining Midlife podcast, a podcast designed for the 40-plus woman who is determined to challenge society's myths and beliefs around midlife. It's for the woman who is inspired and ready to define midlife her way. Join me each week as I chat to health and wellness experts for up-to-date information on how to live well as some special conversations with incredible everyday women redefining what midlife can look like. Here's to making our next half of life even better than the first. Welcome to episode 85 of the podcast. I'm going to ask you some questions shortly, but I'll give you some context first. The other day, I was having a conversation with a group of women, and I noticed that every woman had a very different understanding of what midlife is, and then what midlife meant for her personally. Here are the questions, and I'd love you to notice your answers and what comes up for you. Can you define midlife and give the actual ages of midlife? And then how does the word midlife make you actually feel? How do you, your partner, and your friends talk about midlife? Like, is it mainly positive or negative? And then how do you see midlife represented in advertising, on the big screen, and on social media? Now, my podcast is called Redefining Midlife. And since I've been working in this space, I've seen just how much negativity there is around this stage of life. Most people are confused or have been given the wrong information. And I really think it's time that midlife had a rebranding. So let's all get on the same page and we'll define midlife first, and then we can go about redefining it. Now, midlife is actually a relatively new term. The life expectancy for a woman has increased significantly in a really short time. In the early 1900s, the life expectancy was 55. And today, it's almost 86 years. So that's an increase of 30 years in a very short amount of time. So a new stage of life was created. And I also discovered the term midlife became popularised when Canadian psychologists in 1965 called it the midlife crisis. Now, life has changed considerably since then, so it's definitely long overdue for a rebrand. Now, midlife itself represents a stage between early adulthood and old age. Many people are really surprised when they discover that the midlife stage typically spans from around the ages of 40 to 65. They've got no idea it went for that long. Straight away, this is going to add a lot more people into this stage of life. And I think it's pretty safe to say that most 40-year-olds probably wouldn't consider themselves to be in midlife, yet they are. And you could also say that midlife is the adult version of adolescence, in that you're going through lots of different hormonal, physical, emotional, and identity transitions in this stage of life. Now, many of us hit this phase when we start questioning everything. Like, you're juggling a bunch of stuff. Maybe it's switching careers, dealing with kids or teenagers. Perhaps you're dealing with an empty nest, taking care of aging parents or losing your parents. And of course, you're noticing the physical changes in how you look, in your body, and what it can do. We go through multiple transitions during these 25 years or so of midlife. And it's not just about all of these external changes, what we can see. It can also make you stop and really think about what it all means. Like, what's the point of everything that you've been doing? So you start rethinking your goals, your relationships, and you can't ignore the fact that one day you're not going to be here anymore. Midlife is this time of looking deep within yourself while also dealing with all of the other practical stuff. You're trying to figure out where you're headed in your career, how your relationships fit into the picture, and maybe even trying to understand yourself better. And it is a bit of a roller coaster with many ups and downs, and you try to make sense of where you've been and where you're going. So let's address the elephant in the room. Why does the term midlife make so many of us squirm? Well, partly it's thanks to the psychologists for branding it a crisis and all of the baggage that term carries. It's almost like there's an unwritten rule book saying that you should have had it all figured out by midlife.
That you had the dream job, the money stuff's all sorted, and you've got that picture perfect relationship. We see it on the big screen and it's celebrated on social media. But let's be real, life usually doesn't work out like that. Instead, we're left feeling like we're kind of falling short somehow. It's like getting this constant nagging feeling that we're just not measuring up. Plus, there's this whole fear of getting older and not knowing what's coming next. And for women, it's that constant barrage of the anti-aging message. It's a pressure that you have to look a certain way, for our skin and our bodies to look and stay like it did in our 20s. It's impossible. It's in the ads we see, it's in the media we watch, and the messages that we're constantly bombarded with. And all of that mixed together can leave many of us feeling pretty anxious, like we're just not cutting it. So let's start by looking at the positives, so then we can redefine what midlife can be instead of the negatives. Despite the challenges, midlife actually does offer a wealth of positive benefits that often go overlooked. In midlife, we have a deeper sense of self-awareness and authenticity. And with age comes wisdom, resilience, and emotional maturity. Midlife can be an invitation for us to throw off all of those expectations from when we were younger and just be ourselves. No apologies needed. It's a time to chase after the things that light us up or to try out new things. And it's a time where we can really connect with people on a much deeper level. And once you hit your 40s and beyond, something kind of clicks and you start seeing yourself in a whole new light. It's like you've collected all of these life lessons along the way, and then they suddenly start paying off in some big ways. And thankfully, more women are now taking a stand against that anti-aging message we've been given all of these years. So many more women are embracing their grey hair. They're wearing clothes that they want to wear, and they're choosing to boycott the biased beauty products that they have in front of them all the time. It really is a time to stop caring about what society says you should be doing or how you should look. And as you get older, you also develop a thicker skin, the ability to roll with the punches a bit better. And most people, me included, say they just give less Fs. Now, midlife isn't just about dealing with the daily grind. It's about finally having the courage to chase after those dreams that you've been putting on hold. Whether it's a career change, ticking off items on your bucket list, or just diving into something that you've always been curious about. This is a perfect time for you to shine. But perhaps the most rewarding part is a way you just form these deeper connections with people. With the kids growing up and the work settling into a routine, you've got a bit more bandwidth to really invest in friendships and family bonds. It's like you're finally having some really meaningful heart-to-heart conversations that you've been craving for ages. So midlife isn't just a dreary phase. It's a time that is actually bursting with opportunity and growth. It's all about embracing who you are and recognizing all the amazing things that you've accomplished. And then it's stepping boldly into whatever comes next. And of course, it's very easy for me to say, so yes, easier said than done, when these messages we've grown up with and they're constantly fed to us. So how can we shift our mindset about midlife? Well, it starts with our own beliefs and embracing aging as a natural and inevitable part of living. Reevaluating how we perceive midlife is pretty crucial if we want to approach this phase with a positive mindset and a different sense of direction. It's about putting less emphasis and energy into how we look and physical aging, and instead give more time and more energy to highlight the inner changes that we experience, those valuable insights we have, and the deeper understanding of ourselves and the world around us. We are far more wise. So instead of feeling pressured to hold on to our youth, it really is worth acknowledging the richness of our experiences and the wisdom that we've gained over time. And we are all far more than our looks. To shift our perspective on midlife, we need to change the stereotypes that paint it as a period of decline. Instead of viewing it as a time of loss, we can see it as an opportunity for growth and renewal. We've got decades left ahead of us, and it's a chance to embrace change with that curiosity and optimism, and to approach life with a renewed sense of purpose. We now have the maturity to understand that each stage of life has got its own beauty, including midlife. It's about accepting ourselves fully, with all the imperfections and strengths, and finding joy in our journey, in the wrinkles, even those extra kilos we might have put on. Becca Levy, who's a social scientist from Yale, has shown that when someone actually shifts their mindset from a negative to a positive mindset around aging, they can gain 7.5 years of additional life. And that's a whole more additional life than if they stopped smoking at 50 or started exercising at 50. That's pretty well a bang for buck. So changing our mindset about midlife isn't just about feeling better about ourselves. It's also about living our best lives. By embracing this stage of life with open arms, we can unlock a world of opportunities for growth, for fulfillment, and for happiness. So let's reframe the narrative around midlife and embark on this journey with enthusiasm and excitement. Shifting our mindset is also about living our best lives and setting an example for our future generations. It's about paving the way for our children and the women who are younger than us. And it starts with how we think and how we talk about ourselves in this stage of life, and how we talk about midlife with others. It's also about who we surround ourselves with, who we follow on social media, and who our midlife role models are. Also, which companies we choose to spend our money with. I know midlife isn't without its difficulties, yet it is a time of transformation, growth, and possibility for the following decades of our life. It's about recognizing the value of our experiences, the depth of our wisdom, and the beauty of our journey. So how about we embrace midlife as an opportunity for joy, fulfillment, and meaning, and inspire others to do the same? Just by reframing our narrative around midlife and embracing midlife with enthusiasm and excitement, we really do set a powerful precedent for those who come after us. Changing our own perspective on midlife isn't just a personal journey. It becomes a part of the bigger picture. We all have a part to play in redefining midlife. And there you have it, a deep dive into the often misunderstood world of midlife. Think about your answers to the question I gave you at the start of the show. Are they different now? Would you answer differently? Will you look at and talk about midlife differently? I'm proud to say that I am. I really think about it deeply. This podcast is constantly promoting a new way of redefining midlife, and I also support women privately with my coaching and mentoring work and through my Better Than Before wellness membership. I am redefining midlife for myself and helping others to do the same. So remember, it's never too late to embrace this stage of life with open arms and a positive outlook. And until next week, take care.
Thanks so much for listening and sharing your time with me today. I'd love you to hit subscribe on Apple Podcast or your favorite podcast app to keep spreading these empowering messages. Please share this podcast with other incredible midlife women in your world. Join me again next week for another redefining midlife conversation. Thanks again for tuning in.